All right, so here we are on the top of page 4 of the purchase agreement. Wow, do we have a lot of boxes that we can check here. So what is all of this? This is a section to add additional forms, additional addenda that are specific to the property. Okay, so the first one that we're dealing with, A, is a property type addenda. So this would be if this is a probate, manufactured home, if there's a tenancy in common. Stock cooperative, I don't think I've ever seen that one used. Mixed use purchase addendum. But typically the ones that you see here most often are the TOPA, the tenant occupied property addendum. That there's a section up above about that when it comes to it has a lot to do with occupancy. You know, are the tenants remaining? Are the tenants moving out prior to close of escrow? So this would be where you check that box if it's tenant occupied, right? If it's a probate, this is going to add the proper form to let everyone know that there's a third party that's going to have to okay this whole thing. Manufactured home purchase agreement, that's going to add that addendum, which needs to be all filled out with all the pertinent information about the manufactured home. And then any other addenda. So if you filled this whole thing out, buyer signed it, and then there was like, oh shoot, we forgot to put this in there. You could use a generic addendum. You could just put addendum number 1 and include that with the document. If this is a backup offer because we're submitting our offer and the listing agent tells us, hey, sorry, I've got bad news. We already accepted an offer, but we want to still submit our offer as a backup offer. We check that. This septic well, property monument, and propane addendum, this is a very, very important addenda if you're dealing with rural properties. So if this is a country property on 5 acres, they've got a well, they've got septic, you want this addenda in there. It spells out who's paying for what, if you're getting septic inspections, if you're getting a well inspection, who's paying for it, if you're asking for the property corners to be marked, a survey to be done, you'd check this box. A buyer intent to exchange addendum. This is if your buyer's doing a 1031 exchange or seller intent to exchange. Your seller's doing a 1031 exchange. You're going to want to check these appropriate boxes. Short sale addendum, we haven't seen very many of those recently, but it can happen where your seller doesn't have the funds. Typically, when you're filling these out, though, you're the buyer's agent. You might not be aware of the fact this could be a short sale with your offer, and that can always be added later. But if you know up front that this is a short sale, maybe it's in the agent notes, you could check that box. Court confirmation addendum. A court's going to have to approve this. So you've got all these sections for different disclosures. The buyer and seller advisories, you have a bunch here, and you guys are probably used to seeing all these, right? The buyer's investigation advisory, the wire fraud advisory, fair housing advisory, the California Consumer Privacy Act advisory. Those are by default attached to this offer. You can't unattach them. They're already there. The statewide buyer and seller advisory, usually the seller provides that, but you could include it with yours. Wildfire disaster advisory. If it's a trust, you're going to want to check this box. If it's a trust purchasing this, REO advisory, probate advisory, and that's it for this section. So next video, I'll continue on at section 5.